Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boy Relay, and welcome to EOC 2 One Slot Battle Cats. In our last episode, we started off the game and took down EOC 1, and today we are going to be taking down EOC 2. As you can see, in Empire of Cats 1, which is EOC, we have unlocked the zombie outbreaks. We also unlocked Stories of Legends and Into the Future, but those won't be relevant till later, as they are meant for way more progressed players after you beat EOC 3. As you can see, EOC 2 is going to start off pretty much the exact same with Korea, but much more importantly, we're going to be focusing on things like zombie outbreak stages. Every 3 hours, we are going to have a zombie outbreak in EOC 1. Any defeated chapters will have zombie outbreaks, and every single chapter, you must defeat every single stage again, but they're zombified, which pretty much just means they're going to have new OP abilities and a whole lot more stats. As you can see, they are going to be able to burrow under our first cat, and they become a gravestone when they die, which revives once. This is extremely annoying, and they're going to be able to sneak around our cats, dealing a ton of damage to our base. And I mean, just look at the pig, okay, the pig who has never been a threat before. I mean, one Paris can take out 100 pigs. The zombie version is able to completely shred through our Paris cats. Okay, this is tough. We gotta use our cannon, we gotta strategically place them out as fast as we possibly can in order to just stand a chance against these pigs. But with enough dedication and hard work, we can just barely beat Nepal. But Nepal, it's not actually like a hard level, so we're going to need a whole lot more power if we wish to keep on defeating zombie stages and keep on pushing into EOC 2. Zombie stages have two main rewards, number one being that 10 cat food that we just earned. That's right, we're going to be able to get a total of 480 cat food from all of the zombie stages there. But also, arguably more importantly, is adding 50 to our energy cap later on, which is going to be extremely powerful for the rest of the game. Now, of course, the way we will become more powerful is by getting more superior treasures. Right now we only have 17 out of 48 of them to the maximum level, so we're going to be getting all of those up. Additionally, as you can see here, we have another 70 cat food we can claim from these missions, and we have 3 rare tickets that we're going to roll. Unfortunately, we do not receive anything good. All we get is the rare swordsman cat, who is actually the best thing that we rolled here, but it's not that useful. The rare gardener cat, pretty useless in this challenge. It's meant to be a debuffer, it freezes enemies but doesn't really deal damage. And last but not least, this guy named Rich Cat, who doesn't deal any damage, nor inflict status effects, nor have much HP. All it does is act as a cat combo thing, and a cat combo basically is if you have a bunch of cats in a line in the front row, they can give you some special buffs to everything else, which is even more worthless to this challenge, as why would I want to buff other things? I want one thing that's powerful. This is one slot battle cats. By the way, for people new here, one slot, we're only using one. Okay, that's why there's 10 available, we use one. Anyways, we're going to be using all of the cats just in order to increase our user rank later on, as user rank will become very important, which is exactly why we are going to go into the upgrade menu and upgrade all of our basic cats to level 10. These guys are pretty cheap in terms of XP, and because I have 1.4 million from clearing EOC 1, I might as well spend it all, just increasing our user rank, getting some smaller rewards, and later on, getting some really good rewards. Doing this actually evolves every single cat. We already saw Macho Cat, but now we have Wool Cat, Brave Cat, Sexy Legs Cat, Giraffe Cat, UFO Cat, Whale Cat, Dragon Cat, and finally, Mythical Titan Cat. Anyways, now that we have 200 leadership, it's another day. It's Meows Day. Pretty much every Wednesday it's Meows Day, which means that we get a bunch of free stuff, which is nice, you know, some cat food, some leaderships, and much, much more importantly, half energy cost plus a treasure festival. That's right, we can get up all of our treasures super, super easily. So I'm going to go and grind every single treasure in EOC 1, you know, finish that up, and then we're going to go for EOC 2 as well. Haha, just kidding, look at this new thing I found. Every Wednesday on Meows Day, a chosen cat will be able to power up for less XP than normal, and I think they try to make it like the most expensive cat possible, which is why it's an uber rare, Urashimataro this time, and Urashimataro is going to be very useful for this, so we're just going to level that guy up all the way to level, looks like we can get it to 10, perfect. So now it's Guardian Gameron, and Guardian Gameron is the more expensive version. Now, this Uber set in particular, it starts off with super cheap and spammable units, and then they become a second form and third form, which are more expensive, but more powerful with a higher cooldown. So pretty much, you get 2 cats for the price of 1, which is pretty nice. It's going to be very versatile and very helpful. Also, we've unlocked some new cats, which we will eventually be using for more user rank, but we'll just unlock them for free now. Alright guys, I've been treasure grinding for a little bit and it's pretty boring, but basically we're just going to go over to Maldives because there's another zombie event which is pretty awesome and we're going to see how well Urashima Taro can do. I can't use the legendary variant because unfortunately this zombie seems to deal 1000 damage per hit, so it completely demolishes my base almost instantly. Luckily it does appear that Urashima Taro is actually able to handle it very quickly. See, Paris Cat, I don't think had enough damage to do it, so this might be one of my best cats, at least for now. Alright, sweet. As a math major, in order to prove that Urashima Taro is actually better than Paris Cat, at least for now, we're going to be looking at the stats, and as you can see, Urashima Taro is kind of winning in all ways. The health of Paris Cat is 4060, whereas Urashima Taro has 5390. Which is over 20% better. The damage isn't what matters, although it is higher. What really matters is the DPS, because Urashima Taro has both more damage and attacks faster, meaning its DPS is in fact double Paris's. That is pretty insane. It does, however, have slightly less range, which is a small problem, but can be made up for by the double damage and a little bit more HP. What really matters, though, is that its respawn time is 4 times as long. How is that possible? We very clearly just saw it being respawned pretty similarly to Paris Cat. I mean, maybe a little bit slower, but it wasn't that bad. Well, the treasures that we are about to grind is going to linearly remove the respawn time. Right now, the true respawn time is about 8 seconds for Paris and 14 for Urashima Taro, and because Urashima Taro has double the damage per second and a little bit of extra HP, and 14 is less than double 8, Urashima Taro is actually a lot better. But when we subtract 6 seconds from each of these, Paris Cat's respawn cooldown becomes 2, and Urashima Taro becomes 8, and obviously 8 is 4 times the amount of 2, which is how we get these actual stats here. So once we get every single treasure from EOC 1 to 3, Paris Cat will be very easily better than Urashima Taro. But like for now, Urashima Taro is mathematically 1.5 times as good, and Paris was already our best cat, so yeah, we're gonna abuse the heck out of this guy. Alright guys, after like a full day of treasure grinding, we're finally done with all the treasures in EOC 1. Please kill me now. Anyways, with that out of the way, we can now go on to Chapter 2, starting in Korea again. As you can see, just in Korea, we start off with things being extremely easy, and also a guaranteed superior to start things off nice and strong. But one thing you may have noticed is the price difference. Ninja Frog Cat used to be only $200. Why is it now $300? Well, that's because everything is going to be 1.5 times more expensive. Additionally, you may notice that the cats and snakes who were dying one hit before are getting knocked back and surviving instead. Why might that be? Well, that is pretty simply because every single enemy we're facing is at 1.5 times magnification, aka they have both 1.5 times their HP and attack. This means that all of those stages that we were struggling with earlier are going to be very much harder, because 1.5 times the HP would make the stage 1.5x harder. But it's not just HP, it's HP and attack, which multiply together, equaling 2.25 times the difficulty. So we're definitely going to be noticing that in the future, but for now, we're just going to place down Ninja Cat until that fails, and then go back to using Paris, as Paris is more powerful, but Ninja is faster. Anyways, in Russia we got a bunch of rams and these boosted up penguins, and unfortunately Ninja Cat is kind of just struggling against them. It's not that powerful, and the penguins at 2.25 times power are just going to be a whole lot for the ninjas to take down. It's slow, it's painful, might as well use Paris, because as a wise man once said, if your friend's not doing things right, just get new ones. Meanwhile, Gamatoto has finally found something useful. Besides just XP, it's found 1 can of cat food and 1 speed up. Great job, Gamatoto. You're about to be all the way at level 3. We have also unlocked the Shaolin Kingdom, where we can start to also receive cat CPUs, and I do believe that this doesn't affect the odds of any other drop other than increasing them. We're going to be getting more XP, more cat food, more speed ups, and also the cat CPUs, which is great. When using Paris Cat, its new price is $900 as opposed to $600, so I like to start off by upgrading my worker wallet once, so that while yes, we do start off with a slower Paris Cat, we'll be able to get up the next one much faster and have a more consistent income base. Otherwise, we'd be relying almost solely on getting income from killing things, which, while sometimes would be faster, is a whole lot less consistent than having an upgraded income stream just off base. As I progressed through the chapter, I collected every single treasure to Superior before moving on to the next stage, which allowed us to have literally nothing interesting happen until Hawaii. Welcome to Empire of Cats, where nothing changes except for the magnification. Anyways, Hawaii was a pretty difficult stage. If you don't remember from last time, that was the second to last stage where we struggled a ton, but because we have every single treasure already, and one of the most powerful cats in the game, Paris, we're not even using our Uber, but Paris is more than enough to take down Hawaii and allow us to move on to the final boss. The final boss is this big red idiot right here, Director Kurosawa. Director Kurosawa is going to be a whole lot harder than the first moon was, but I mean this time we have every single treasure from EOC 1 and 2, so it should, and he one-tapped my Paris cat, what on earth. Look, this is not going to be fun because he outranges Paris and is going to be able to kill every single one of them in just one hit. Unfortunately, he will do the same to Urashima Taro as well, which means that we have no chance of being able to win this. Also, there's a Rhino which helps him push forward a ton, so Paris is able to put up a little bit of a fight, but quite frankly, she just cannot push through. There's also all these super small things that die to the cannon, but like they stop Paris from even touching the boss, and it's kind of pathetic. I'm gonna be real. We can hold him off a little bit, but every time the Rhino comes, it really just pushes things forward a ton, and Paris ends up being defeated. But how can we win if Paris Cat gets the boss only to 89% HP? That means Urashima Taro would really only get it to like, what, 70, maybe 85% HP? It's just not going to be enough. It's going to lose. Well, I'm going to give it a try, but spoiler alert, I was completely right. It cannot do a thing. We suffer a very similar fate, although we do get it to 67% HP. Haha, nice one, Ponos. Yeah, we're completely screwed. I mean, like, those are our two most powerful cats. What more is there to do? Well, as Sun Tzu said, know your enemy and know yourself, and you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If we look at our previous boss that we went up against, it had 100,000 HP and 200 DPS. This guy was pretty much a piece of cake because he didn't really deal any damage, and the movement speed of 1 just meant that you had unlimited time to take him down. If we compare that to Dark Emperor Niendam, which is totally the name I said earlier, I didn't say anything else. This is the real name, Dark Emperor Niendam, right? You can see, big red guy up here. Let's scroll back down. He has the exact same amount of HP, but half the DPS? Hey, why is this guy harder? Well, this is mostly because of the 500 range. If we compare that to the face, he only has a measly 340, but the 500 will allow him to completely outrange all of our units. Not just that, but these are the stats at 100% magnification, and as I said earlier, it's now at 150% magnification, which allows the true HP to be 150,000, and its attack damage is 2700, enough to one-tap a Paris Cat, and the DPS is still pretty modest at 175, but the main problem is going to be that massive range. Additionally, the 150% rhinos that are being sent out constantly are going to be a pretty massive problem, as those guys are able to push hard against our Paris Cats, and they are able to tank for Dark Emperor Niendam, which allows him to not get hit at all while the rhinos are out. Compared to Chapter 1, where there was pretty much nothing of threat, Dark Emperor Niendam comes with a much higher range and much more powerful enemies to help him out in the fight. Bosses are not just about the boss itself, but also their peons. By the way, peons are just a funny word for what we call those supporting enemies. Anyways, there is one more unit that we have not used yet, and it is a unit that we've already used. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Well, welcome to Stage 2 of Urashima Taro, aka Guardian Gameron. This guy needs Rich Cat in order to start, as well as Sniper so that the base doesn't take too much damage, and it is very tough to afford, but luckily, with our treasures maxed out, we are going to be able to afford it just before we die. The reason we couldn't use them before was because I didn't want to waste a Rich Cat on it, but I suppose if it's what I have to do, I will try my best. This guy boasts a ton of HP and damage, to be specific, 81,000 HP and 1900 DPS. This guy is basically a boss by himself. In fact, if this was the boss, this challenge would be extremely difficult. Now, it does have a pretty big weakness, and that is the unit spam, which this stage uses a ton of. As you can see, there is almost always a bunch of stuff in the way so that Guardian Gameron cannot come towards the boss, so unfortunately the boss, with its massive range, is going to be able to kind of have a pretty good defense against Guardian Gameron. However, using our cat cannon timings and Sniper the Cat, we are going to be able to push forward sometimes and be able to take out all the peons using just the cannon and sniper, allowing Gameron to move forward so that it doesn't have to wait for all of its attacks. Also, we can use Sniper the Cat and the Cat Cannon to help us out against something like the Rhino, as if the Rhino comes close to Guardian Gameron, it's going to be a pretty big issue, as the Rhino can deal some pretty massive damage, as it's the main DPS of this stage. Using this strategy, we were able to stall for enough time in order to spawn down a second Guardian Gameron who can take over from here on out, allowing it to keep on fighting against the boss and pushing it back even further. Eventually, there's almost no way that this will lose, and in fact we are able to take down Director Kurosawa, as, no, this is not his name, Neandum something, it's something Neandum, oh, that's not good. Unfortunately, our Guardian Gameron goes down, and while we do end up pushing back, it's just simply not going to be enough. We have a base HP of only 2,600 HP, which means that when this Rhino comes in, it can take down our cat base and ruin us. Oh no. But by not using the speed up and instead just perfectly timing our cat cannons and our sniper the cats in order to both disrupt Dark Emperor Neandum's attacks and also to knock back the Rhino so that it cannot hit our Guardian Gamerons as much, we are able to pretty much have the exact same ending, except for the fact that we have 2 Gamerons out, which is going to be more than enough to take down the Rhino and push on forwards. This strategy, however, does have one really big weakness, and that is the endgame. Oh my goodness, you guys don't understand it. This is sped up with the speed up to 3 times, and then once more in iMovie to 8 times speed. That's right, 8 times speed here, and it's just this slow at taking things out. That means, in real time, it's like a half hour in order to defeat just not even the boss, but the peons after the boss. It's ridiculous. Why is this a thing? Ponos, please, just let me finish the game. But with that, we finally have a victory. Oh yes. With Empire of Cats number 2 taken out, we can finally move on to Empire of Cats 3. And of course, we are unlocking a ton of new stuff, but I won't say any of that until later. I guess you have to stick around, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace out, bye.